All right. Here's the deal. I've never had a dog in the hunt on the fight when it comes to Trump and the whole Epstein thing. Whatever the facts are, I'll bring it out, I'll present it. But I am one of the first people to ever talk about it. And even before the Epstein stuff came out 20 years ago, 18 years ago, about the whole general system of intelligence agencies using pedophile rings and things like that to compromise government and corporations. Just interviewed Ted Gunderson, I mean, you name it, all the experts, the Franklin cover-up, whistleblowers, all of it. So I followed this whole thing before it was a big news story. So I was able to predict that when they released these files, 3+ million, that it would be salted with all the old discredited stuff that had been proven not to be true, like the 4 or 5 Jane Does, a lot of which turned out to not even be real women. That's all in there, and people are saying all of those disproven things are real now. And that's what Trump was trying to suppress. And that's why there's so much ignorance out there. But here's the key, and I made this point in the last year. I said, you now have all these schizophrenics and crazy people and enemies of Trump flooding the FBI and DOJ with all sorts of fake filings, affidavits, you name it, and stuff just mailed in. All the new court cases, civil cases, all of that, all the old grand jury info that Trump wanted released, that's in there too. So there's not just one group of files. There's always new files that are coming out, okay? Well, now we know there is stuff in there up until December of last year. So they were trying to process the files as hundreds of thousands of new ones came in each month. And the files are any type of hearsay or any type of gossip you want. So it was, about 6, 7, 8 months ago, whenever the Wall Street Journal said, oh, they had handwritten letters from Trump with pictures of naked girls to Epstein with no evidence or proof that it was real. I made a joke on air and created fake letters from Trump to me. And I made the joke that, Trump raped me. Also, Elon Musk raped me. Now, you understand, I could fill out those forms, just mail it in, or go file a lawsuit and just say that. So let me show you something. This is actually in one of the side offices. And I can look up the date of the broadcast I did this on. But just look up, I think the headline was Donald Trump raped me. And here's the jokes hanging in here. Dear Alex Jones, you were tremendous in bed last night and made every day be another wonderful secret. And look, that's the signature right there. Your pal. Okay? Now here's another one. Alex, my love, thank you for the incredible time. What a night. That's handwritten by him. Okay? This is real. Also, I was in Fort Huachuca and saw these colonels planning to kill everybody. It doesn't matter. It was all disproven lies. See, it's the same thing where you could have an anonymous email, tip line for the Charlie Kirk assassination investigation, and then just whoever wants to send, fake garbage, you can do it. I'm not saying the public should investigate things, and I'm not even saying they're suspicious of a TPSA. It's the same system. So I made a big deal out of this when nobody else did, that they can send stuff into the last minute. And so I'll shoot a more detailed video later with the actual documents, because I'm going over it right now. I've already found like 15 different things. I can have my crew working on it. Where they're in May and June last year, people say they're at Mar-a-Lago and they see Elon and Trump assaulting young girls. I mean, come on, people. And there's no evidence, no proof, no police report, no nothing. That's the current stuff. So I'm saying right now, I was at Mar-a-Lago in July, and both Elon Musk and Donald Trump raped me viciously. And I'm going to send in a letter to the FBI, and it'll be part of the new files. You see, it's a cornucopia. It never ends. It's a perpetual motion machine. So I've got a bunch of examples of this. I'm going to shoot a more detailed report and show you the actual stuff. But, you didn't know the Epstein files go right to December 19th or whatever it was? That was their deadline. So up to the last day, people are just mailing stuff into the Justice Department and mailing it into the FBI, and schizophrenics are walking in all the streets saying, yeah, a bunch of E. Jean Carroll types. She's been totally, disproven. She's all in there. There were at least 4 Jane Does. You see the actresses about Trump raping him and all that stuff, and then later it turns out they were actresses. Remember all that? But they just recycle the rumors. Well, here's the biggest problem. This diverts from all the real stuff we know is real, because Bill Gates' wife left him over this. I know how Bill Gates already operates, bribing and controlling medical executives and university heads and top scientists. Bill Gates, Larry Summers, all the big billionaires that have been attacking Trump and funding all the attacks on Trump, they're all the ones really implicated with underage girls and with diseases and with slipping drugs in women's drinks, like Melinda Gates. I mean, that's all real stuff. But, we're not going to look at all that stuff. No, we're going to look at all the old salted BS. Like when they said 9 years ago, Melania was a hooker. She worked for Epstein. None of that was ever true. Worked for his modeling agency. Wasn't true. It's all just recycled lies. So I've already seen all that in there. There's millions of files to go through, but everybody's beavering through it. But notice the corporate media will go with, Elon is in the files. And then they'll say at the bottom of the article, Gates was wanting a meeting with him. Never, didn't happen. But then people say, look, CNN headline, Musk was with Epstein or Gates. And then there's all the fake Jane Doe stuff out there. And then the internet goes, look, Elon Musk is involved. So this is so crazy, ladies and gentlemen. I wouldn't be surprised if I don't pop up in there. I'm sure some schizophrenic put me in there. I'm in most of these big data dumps on other big cases and other big stories. I'm in Crossfire Hurricane. I'm in Arctic Frost. I'm actually targets of that. But that's the reality of all this. By the way, I've never been to the White House, never been to Mar-a-Lago purposely, because I know how all this works. So that's the reality. Now, Sean Johnson, we just worked out this morning, popular podcaster, and he's got to get out of here in a minute. He's got some important work to do, but I just wanted to get your take on this and what we were just discussing.
Well, I think it's just very important because as soon as those documents dropped yesterday, everybody that I know, anybody that doesn't study this stuff like you guys do, especially your audience, you guys are going through all these files. Immediately, I noticed all of your audience. But there's a lot of audiences out there that don't do that. And they just take whatever comes up on the internet, any rumors that's spreading around Trump and any auctions with little girls, that shit is spreading like wildfire. So I told Alex this morning, I'm like, you need to make a video and get the word out. We need to start separating fact from fiction when it comes to this stuff because a lot of people don't know the facts here.
Well, and the deep state's doing that on purpose, flooding. Well, there's new stuff that got brought in the last year from crazies and stuff. Then there's all the old real stuff, but that's in the file release. Then there's BS purely being put on the internet as well.
Yeah, it's a lot right now, and it's a lot. And most people, they're working 9 to 5 jobs. They don't have time to comb through this stuff. So it's becoming on us to fucking separate the fact from fiction and spread that out to as many people as you can.
And I'll say this: if I find something real about Trump, it can be verified. I'll turn against him.
Yeah.
But I've already investigated all this before he even ran.
Yeah, this is where we're at right now, and this is strategic on their part. So
if they had real stuff, they'd already brought it out.
Yeah.
But I got all these people posting, look, Trump was the guy that would stick his finger in the girl and decide how much the auction. Yeah. And it's all just made up, Jane Doe.
But they can make up whatever they want, and they can control the narrative. So.
Remember the E. Jean Carroll stuff, and then he couldn't even say he was innocent. So back at the time when they were fighting, we had this made. Yes, it's not real, folks. It's AI. But when was that when they started fighting and then Elon said, hey, Trump's in the files? Which, yeah, he's in the files, but not doing anything. But now Elon's in the files. But you see how it gets Bill Gates off the hook because now there's all this smoke screening going on.
Yep.
It's absolutely insane, ladies and gentlemen. All right, Sean, well, I'll see you tomorrow, brother.
All right, brother.
Tell me about your podcast.
The Sean Johnson podcast. Just interviewed Harrison Smith. His episode came out yesterday. You can catch it on YouTube, Rumble, Spotify.
All right, brother. Sean Johnson on X.
Thanks, guys.
There you go, brother. I'll see you tomorrow.
See you.
I'm going to go get some more arrows for the archery.
Yeah. I'll get with Tyler today.
All right. I'm still rolling. See you, brother.
Later. See you guys.
Again, folks, you cannot disagree with me. There's the letter after Donald Trump raped me. But we were friends after that. And in fact, we had sex last week. So there you go. It's incredible to have this thank you letter from him. There it is. And see, I just mailed that in before December 19th, the Justice Department. That would be in the Epstein files. Everybody thinks it's like a list saying this person's a pedophile, that person's a pedophile. No, it's hundreds of lawsuits, criminal cases, investigations, grand juries, everything else. And then all the tip line stuff and all the letters written in. It's endless. It never ends. Absolutely never ends. See something funny? There's Bill and Melinda Gates. The good old InfoWars studio, still here, still hanging on. All right, I've got a whole bunch of examples of what I just mentioned. And it doesn't matter. People want to believe what they want. So just believe whatever you want, folks. If you want to believe that water melts at 30 degrees, then just go ahead and believe it. As for me, I'm going to cover the real stuff like Skull and Bones, Bohemian Grove. That's definitely got some twisted stuff going on in it. But the Epstein thing, again, got shut down because of the intelligence agency connections. And everybody's focusing now on these Jane Does and things that have already been disproven 8, 9, 10 years ago. Most of them came out and later said it wasn't even women, it was just law firms. But that's distracting from the Mossad, MI6, the CIA, Air Force that was being run by Epstein going back to the 90s. Ties into George Herbert Walker Bush, Bill Barr, and the Somalis and USAID. Of course, I said this years ago. Now Mike Benz has dug up more documents on it. And great job to him, but I told you elements of the CIA are running these groups tracking ICE, harassing them, and now that's come out in documents. Because the CIA is a bunch of factions, folks. I mean, you're literally getting next year's news today. I don't say that again to brag. I say it because I know what I'm talking about. And I'm really trying to stop these people as best I can. Let me get some light in here. Finish this live feed. Like I said, I gave the crew off today. They really deserve it. Days ago, and I didn't know this Epstein thing was about to drop, of course. And so people are off visiting family in other cities and states and stuff, which they deserve. Our crew's been cut down to a skeleton crew. They are the best, but I called around a few of them, like, can you come in and help me get all these documents together and put reports out? They're like, I'm in Houston, I'm in Dallas, I'm in Florida. And I'm like, which they deserve. So, haven't called Rob Dew yet, though. Because I know how to edit, but not very good anymore. I used to be a good editor, but the technology's changed so much. I'll probably just shoot videos and then just beside the video post the documents that I'm talking about so you can see that. But I mean, it's just wild, wild stuff. There was an auction, and Trump and from all the men up on the auction block would stick his finger in the girl and decide the price. And then, of course, it's all just this nebulous tip or this Jane Doe. And it's how they work. And that's why Trump got pissed off when he realized all this. And then he just said, fine, just release it all. It's just going to hurt a bunch of, people that are innocent, and it's going to get some bad guys, but it's not going to hurt him because a bunch of idiots will think, this all proves it, and then people will track through it and remember that it's all recycled. I called every bit of this. So nothing of substance, nothing real. You do have some people in Trump orbit who are talking to Epstein like Lutnick, which I always thought he could be one of the guys because he lived next door to him in New York. But that's not enough. Just somebody lives next door to somebody doesn't mean or whatever. But Lutnick's popped up. If you can believe that stuff, because there's so much stuff mixed in, wanting to go to the island. Elon's a huge mover and shaker in technology, but all the stuff, with him that's already come out is like big tech meetings and stuff. And of course, Bill Gates is at those. So, but I'll go wherever the facts are, but people really need to understand that you can't just go off rumors. And so there's 20 years of files and stuff that are just all sorts of lawsuits, criminal cases, you name it, people that were interviewed, FBI reports, 302s or whatever. And then since Trump got in, everybody flooding the Justice Department with all their tips and, some reels, on other stuff, schizophrenics, you name it. You can read some of the letters. They're like, And, I was at Mar-a-Lago and opened the door and there was Elon and Trump raping the baby, you know. And so, and they say this is last year. So, just total cuckoo town. And that's all being injected. And then there's stuff that we found, because I literally cruised out of town, but Thomas and a few others said, you know, they're, one of them's driving to Houston, or like while they're driving, or, you know, get me the stuff and sending it to me. And I'm going to go get on the computer too and check a bunch of this, because everything I've checked is one of those categories. Out of the old original files, some true, some not, a bunch of recycled stuff, all the new stuff people mailed in the last year, and they got scooped up, and then just people making stuff up on the internet and then injecting it out there like it's real. And then you got to go get that. You got to go search the files. You got to see if it's real. And we've seen Democrats like Schiff and stuff on J6. They take an email and then change the email. They take a document, change the document. You know, and then when something's real, like the Hunter Biden laptop, they'll say it's not real, even though they know it's real. So there's just a lot of this. And remember, the Biden DOJ has had those files for 4 years. And the Democrats before that, and Comey and his daughter, were the ones in control of that. So that's a whole nother thing to look at. But Trump was all for releasing it until he realized the dirty trick that they were playing. And I said, that's a mistake. It's going to come out now. I know you got set up. I predicted how all this happened. I've been proven right so far. And so you got to just release it all. It's going to burn mainly Democrats. There'll be a bunch of innuendo, recycled crap, and there you go. So people, when you're looking at something, when we're putting links up on Infowars.com and on X, actually we already have, we can go the actual file dump, go check it and search for that on there with keywords and all that before you do it. And also know anything that's even halfway real against Trump, like it's a real file, but it's itself, you know, some schizo or made up, you know, Jane Doe Democrat filing from years ago. If it's at least in the new data dump and it's innuendo, the corporate Democrats, like the Daily Beast, will cover it. So that's the first thing I use to check it. I go, let me see if this is real. Okay, it's been out 10 hours. Let me check the Daily Beast. Nope, they're not reporting on it. That means it's not in the files. Then I go check the file and it's not there. So anything that's at least in the data dump, maybe real, maybe not, the Democrats will report on it instantly. If they're not reporting on it, they know, because they've gone and checked already, because they got bigger teams, that it's not even in the new files and that it's fake. So this is a big job. It took us weeks and weeks to go through the WikiLeaks right before the election in 2016. All you did that too. You know, what's real, what's not. And they did the same thing then. We had Podesta in the hot tub with the kids for his pleasure in New York, the Aleister Crowley rituals, all the real emails. They didn't deny those were real. So they pivoted to a pizza place, had the corporate media say that we were saying there were dungeons and kids and all this. And then when we just covered the corporate media saying that, they flipped it around and said that we had made it up. And then, of course, they wouldn't show there was no dungeon or any of that in the pizza place. You see how that works? So it's the same thing here. They don't want all the top Democrats that are in there for real, the top billionaires that are in there for real that have been targeting Trump at the island with the girls, with the kids, all that. They don't want that looked at. So they're going to just flood the zone with all the recycled crap and new fake stuff. But like I said, if Trump is guilty of anything, I will go there instantly. But I predicted how all this would unfold, and that's where we are. So I really appreciate everybody. Don't forget to follow us here at Real Auctions on X, and at the backup, AJN Live, at AJN Live, the Auctions Network. InfoWars has been surviving, but we finally got some big movement on the future of InfoWars. And I'll just leave it at that. I'll be making some announcements very, very soon. But for all the fools out there that have been like, his court cases have been fake, none of it's real, he's not being targeted by the deep state. Yeah, right. The actual Democrat Party law firms, Paul Weiss, all them, because by the grace of God, we've beaten them so many times and showed their fraud and showed their rigged auctions and all the rest of it. We just got word, I'll be announcing it soon, I was meeting my lawyers today, on what's happening with the state receiver and everything on the future of InfoWars. Because this is not a boy who cried wolf thing or a Chicken Little deal. This is like a 12th round heavyweight fight, and we're in the 12th round. By the grace of God, people support we've survived this long. But regardless of what happens to InfoWars, In the court of public opinion, everybody knows the DOJ and CIA funded all this. The documents have come out. They all know about the rigged stuff with the Onion and Michael Bloomberg and all that. So the majority of people now know that I didn't do what they said I did. It was a big PR fundraising operation for them. So they can try to shut me down, but then they try to shut down a website. But the name InfoWars is generic, belongs to the whole world. And you are the InfoWar, so it will live on and fight on regardless. But remember, flip it around. In November of 2014, we went and got a sink at Home Depot to copy Elon at Twitter. And I was supposedly, it was sold to the Onion, we were shut down. And now here we are a year and 2 months later, and we're still here. We're still here, ladies and gentlemen. So that's the reality of this. But the info war lives forever regardless. I can tell you they don't own, because they can't get, thealexjoneshow.com. Well, that's not owned by me either. That's Bigley, that's their sponsor. That's funded and owns the Alex Jones Network. The backup. So when you buy any of the t-shirts or great supplements like Ultramethylene Blue there, you keep me on the air with Harrison and Brown Morello and others, and we intend to expand like 19 hours a day soon. Once I'm no longer embroiled in all this and I'm not the owner and I just am the news director and work here, then we can expand and me working for these new folks, and then we can just get back on the total offensive. So I appreciate all your support in the fights. And we got our big civil rights, conspiracy against rights suit ready. It's very similar in the law to why Don Lemon got arrested. We'll be explaining that soon. But this is some really, really serious business. But again, I am going to, this is really important. I'm going to ask everybody on X, all the viewers and supporters, I can't do all this alone. And again, I told the crews we're working weeks and weeks without a day off, many of them. Dig through the files and take all the allegations and all the files we see and go check them and see if it's real. And listen, if something's real, as if it is in the data dump, doesn't mean it's for sure true, but at least we know it's actually the data dump. All these allegations you're seeing, then post under this feed. In fact, let's let this feed be the research area, because I need your help here. And I don't want rumors. I don't want schizophrenic stuff. I don't want to hear about, you saw Trump at a secret military base with space aliens raping a baby or something, unless you got videos and photos. Well, I'm not talking to the schizos up there. I'm talking about serious people. Will you please go see all the allegations that are out there, all the crazy stuff every minute, some new wild thing, and then go check the big file database the feds put out. It's linked up everywhere now. Make sure you're on the real database, though, because they're putting out fake databases. And then if it's actually in the files, post under saying, hey, we checked this, it's real, meaning it's in the files. And if you find out it's not in the files, say, hey, we checked the files, this is not in the files. And people can then still spot check that. You can use Grok, things like that to search it. And so I'm going to go. I was going to take off a few days because I had this laryngitis for like 3 or 4 weeks, as you know, and it's almost gone. It's about 80% better, but I just talk so much. But plus the allergies have been real bad, the cedar fever around here, but starting to get better, but I guess I can't take off. So I appreciate you all, but I need your help. We need human intelligence to go in and research all this. And again, if you find something, here's the thing, look into all the Trump stuff, look at all the allegations on Trump. Find out if that stuff's really the files, but also please spend your time on all the big billionaire Democrats and hedge fund managers and Bill Gates and his associates and anybody in the Trump orbit. Focus on them as well. Look at the Trump orbit people, look at the Trump stuff, and also spend half your time, I would advise, on the billionaires, the Democrats, because they don't want us looking at that, and 95% of the stuff or more is about them. And the real meat potatoes in the past and what I've seen currently is them. But I'm just going where the truth is. I know that's what you're going to do, the majority of you. So let's do this together. I really need your help. All right, I'm going to start getting into this stuff right now. And I appreciate you all. God bless you. Thanks for your support at thealexjonesstore.com. Can't do it without you. And again, I don't own that, so when they shut this down, they can't shut that down because I don't own it. And it's our great sponsor. Thank you. thealexjonesstore.com.